what we're really worried about in this isn't people getting sick, right? People are getting, if this were just, everybody coughed and felt short of breath and then felt better, ran a fever and then felt better, no one would be talking about this. We're worried about people dying, right? So we know that the number one thing that's leading, the single independent risk variable or risk factor is age, right? That's the most important variable. The older you are, the more likely you are to die from anything. And of course, a respiratory infection is going to be harder on you than it would be, if you're 80, it's going to be harder on you than it would be if you're 20.
Well, Rob and I talked about this yesterday, Robb Wolf. There came out some really interesting research where they were looking at that they think that maybe this COVID-19 deal where they've been kind of not misdiagnosing it, but they're not seeing the people, or maybe it's changing. But before there was this idea that people were going to die of pneumonia. That it was, standard pneumonia, fluid on the lungs type of deal, and the lungs are going to fill with fluid. They're not necessarily seeing that. And what Rob talked about is that more what they're seeing is effects that look like hypoxic kind of situations where the COVID-19 is attacking the red blood cells, and now the red blood cells can't bring oxygen to the lungs.
Yeah, and that's why the anti-malarial drugs work, because malaria does the same thing. It infects red blood cells and affects their ability to carry oxygen when they rupture. This is actually affecting the heme groups in the oxygen and not allowing people to exchange oxygen, which is why the ventilators are turning out to be not all that useful.
Well, because they're hooking these guys up to these ventilators, and what they're doing is they're pumping up the ventilators, and all the ventilators are doing is pressure testing the lungs and actually damaging and hurting the lungs. So
and that would hurt anybody's lungs. It would hurt the healthiest person's lungs. Yeah, and only about 15 to 20% of people who go on ventilators are making it off of ventilators.
Yeah. So the idea is probably never at any point in this world, and especially with this pandemic, the determining factor for survival is going to be, your fitness level, how strong you are, how physically able you are, how fast you can take, lung capacity and turn it into oxygen, and how much, like your red blood cell count. So, I mean, we're really looking at these things that it's definitely weeding out not only people that have pre-existing conditions with like obesity, with diabetes and other issues that already have something, but also people that are extremely unhealthy or unfit, smokers, people that vape, people that have, already something that's putting them kind of, stacking the deck against them.
Basically anybody who, if you think of the body as a finite resource for sustaining, for dealing with the disease, part of that is how good your immune system is, and we'll talk about that in a second. But part of that is just how robust is your how robust are your resources, because the more taxes you have on you. So if you're diabetic, well, cha-ching, you just lost 30% of your energy stores right there. Sure. If you have some serious gut issues, if you have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or some autoimmunity or something, bam, sure. You've taken away part of your immune system. If you're obese, obese is an endocrine. Fat's an endocrine organ. It affects your endocrine system. It affects your overall hormones, affects your overall wellness and being. Anything that you add to the puzzle, if you're one of those people that is unfortunate enough to have a severe reaction to this, there could be some blood typing issues in there. There could be some genetics in there. There could be a viral load issue. Of course, aging, all of that stuff affects you. The more you have going against you when you get this, the more likely you are to have a bad outcome from it, right? You just have fewer resources.